Little branding on the front. And good for them, man. They should brand whatever they can, because when other people see this stuff, they're going to want to know where you got it. So that's the name right there, Fessa. Really deep. So we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets, but I've never seen one with these 3 loops in. We got a couple of Fessa tool pouches to show you guys, all coming up right now. We're also going to show you tools that are not expensive. Some of them are, and in my opinion, you really shouldn't be buying anything else. And then some of the stuff you can actually get for a really good price. You know me and Milwaukee Hand Tools, we don't exactly get along. This is going to be the exception. These are side cutters, linesmen, journeyman series, Kleins, whatever you want to call them. These are the Milwaukees. These are not found on the electrical aisle. These are found in the tool aisle. Probably some of the most underrated pliers. We took a sledgehammer, I took a pipe bender, a 2-inch fence post basically, beat the snot out of these. Also the Kleins. The Kleins didn't survive. These are still here and made it in the video. So very, very high quality linesman. $2. I'm not going to know all the price, but this one really sticks out because every time I go to Home Depot, I check out what price these are and still make sure these are still the best bang for your buck for a starting electrician or a professional. These are really hard to beat. Next up, let's get these out of the way. These are the Knipex. Everybody knows what they are. The name lives on YouTube, but they also live on the job site. There's a couple of name brands out there that really only live on YouTube. Not a lot of people in the field actually have them. Klein is definitely more prevalent in the electrical tool world. These, there is no point in buying anything else. If you're doing electrical, if you're running conduit, there's really only one choice, and that's going to go for DIY as well. These are flawless. There's nothing that can make these any better. These Cobras from Knipex. They slide. You can set them with one hand. You can beat on them like a hammer. You can ream with them. There's not too much you can't do with the Knipex Cobras. And when I say beat on with a hammer, I'm talking full on, as hard as you can. Beat whatever you want on the job site. Use them as a hammer. Use them as a pry bar. Hold something, heat it up with the torch. Whatever you got to do, these are going to last. Buy once, cry once, unless they get stolen. So we got our Fessa pouch here. Some of these aren't really advertised for electricians, but every good electrical contractor, especially if you're in construction, you got to have a material pouch. You got to have, it's almost like a pipe running pouch where you got your main hand tools on this side, and then you've got a spot for your couplings and your channel locks and your level and your beater and all the other things that you might need running conduit. They kind of go right here. I like the hammer loops because even as an electrician, you might be in commercial construction where you're not always using a hammer. These hold your roto splits. So if you're running NC, in case you guys didn't know, this is like the ultimate roto split holder. So here's our hammer loop. Roto split goes in there. Good enough retention. We have to turn it upside down. If you want to look at some of the quality of the leather, if you're curious on, is this really good quality leather? The answer is yes, and it's very soft. You've got really high quality rivets here. You've got the stitching. It gets wide in the back, skinny's up here. A lot of people want to know where it's going to ride on your hip. It's a fairly big bag, so it's got a lot of room for storage. It's got a lot of room for a full-size 18-volt impact to sit completely in there. We can put a tape measure on there. Every electrician needs a tape measure. DIY, professional, doesn't matter, even homeowners. You should have a good tape at your house. The next one is quality screwdrivers. If you are doing electrical, an insulated screwdriver is almost a must when you're troubleshooting and just being a technician in general. If you're a homeowner, you may not need a 1,000-volt insulated screwdriver. If you buy this one screwdriver for like 20 bucks or you get the kit for 50, you're pretty much done buying screwdrivers as far as your electrical needs go. Now that being said, for like $8 each, you can get a set of flatheads here. This is a Klein flathead. Whatever you do, stay away from all the multi-fancy drivers that do a whole lot of nothing. For example, this one here has a 3/8 insert here, but you can't use it in any other configuration other than taking this whole thing apart and putting this somewhere in your pocket. So this piece is inevitably probably going to get lost. It's examples like this why you should stay away from Klein. If you're simply just trying to buy a screwdriver for the sake of having one or two bits, this is not the way to go. You're better off buying individual screwdrivers for the task. The truth is, as a professional or even a homeowner, you're better off buying two really good screwdrivers that you're going to enjoy using. The truth when it comes to screwdrivers as a professional or even a homeowner is to buy one really good set of screwdrivers, a Phillips and a flathead, and get the better quality than buying a multi-kit that has an awkward size handle with a mismatched tip to go with it. If you buy the Klein screwdrivers, you're pretty well guaranteed to have a quality screwdriver that's going to last a long time. This is one that I recommend. The Phillips is also one that I recommend. If you buy anything from Klein, make sure it has the handle profile like this. And make sure you get the black tip up here on the Klein that's induction hardened. Now we got two different pouches here. One is especially featured for an electrician. This one is featured more of sheetrock or just kind of general purpose. And it features where your knife is away from your body. And I think that's a really nice touch. If you're doing sheetrock, you're not going to want a folding jab saw. They're not going to stay locked in as good. They're not going to cut good. This one is particularly good, the Tough Built. But the truth is that you always really want your saw out, especially if you're using it, which is the same thing true for individual screwdrivers. So this is a really nice touch here, and this will absolutely get used in the field as a professional. For me though, I prefer my jab saws to fold, and they just take up less space and won't stab me. But because this pouch has this option, I could buy a jab saw that always sticks and I don't have to worry about tearing up my tools. I found it pretty interesting because on the Amazon website, they kind of feature this one for an electrician. But I was looking at this pouch, and I think that this one's actually a little bit more useful for an electrician. You're less likely to load it to the max, which is going to keep it a little bit lighter. And I think the pockets are a little bit better laid out for an electrician. So we're going to look at both options. Now, when it comes to wire strippers, I think everybody's more familiar with this design here. But this design here is quickly fading. It's fairly bulky. The spring really pushes your handles far out. And because he's a 1,000-volt, Milwaukee opted not to give him a locking mechanism, even though they've got a little hole here that you could feature a locking mechanism in the future. They opted out, which I think is smart for 1,000-volt because you're going to have larger gloves and you're working something energized. You really don't need these locking on you. But this is what I recommend, even if you're a professional. I really recommend having a lighter, smaller stamped set. These really fit the bill for the professional in the field. They go all the way up to number 8. Both stranded and solid, and just like the Crocs that were featured in previous videos, these are the Klein, but they don't care which side that you flip them on. This is true size, whichever side of the pliers you're on. They go all the way up to number 8, solid or stranded. What do I recommend you get as a technician that's trying to carry the minimum amount of tools possible, but still be efficient? Or just somebody that kind of wants to have a really good set of strippers, but also has a couple of extra features? Forged, they're not going to last as long as the Knipex. Everyone really gravitates towards Knipex. But for the price of 20 bucks, really hard to beat these strippers. Very affordable to replace, and they last long enough to where you can justify replacing them. Also, they shear the screws. This is probably one of my favorite pairs of strippers. Now, when it comes to knives, it's hard to beat the Milwaukee Fastback. This is one of the first of its kind. This one has the blade storage, which I really recommend you do get something with blade storage with magnets that keep the blade retention in there so it doesn't fall out. And you're always guaranteed to have a sharp blade. There's nothing more dangerous than a dull blade. You're pushing harder than you need to. That's when the blade tends to skip on surfaces when it should be digging in, and accidents can happen. One trick that I use when using my knife, I lock my hands like this, and instead of pulling or pushing with this hand, however you're doing it, I tend to leave this still, and I use this hand to pull whatever through the blade. That way this hand is staying still, and if I slip, this hand doesn't have a knife in it. So whenever I'm stripping wire and stuff, slowly go around. Your thumb is going to maintain the distance away from your hand. So if you're stripping on something like this, keep your thumb here and keep your hands locked and just kind of turn with it. Then we got the diagonal cutters. I prefer the angle ones. I think everyone should get the angled ones. They help with prying staples out, especially for electricians. Now a level, do you need a $40 or $30 level? Maybe this one's $50 because it lights up. If you're blind like me, yeah, sure, go get a lighted level. This thing's $10, and around Black Friday, you can get these for a really good value. This is a Work Pro, and the magnet is actually fairly strong. So you get 4 of them. You got all the dials that you need. You got the anti-dogleg feature where you can screw this onto your pipe. It's angled at the bottom here, so it's easier to go into pockets. And it's solid aluminum. Really good value for $10. You don't have to spend a bunch of money to get quality. You just need to know where to look. And then we got a multimeter. Why this multimeter? It's $50. It's really easy to use. It's perfect for DIY. It's good enough for a professional. If I went to your house and this is all that you had, this would be more than acceptable to get the job done. It's auto ranging, so you turn it on. It's completely automatic, so there's no buttons, dials, anything to think about. How do you operate a multimeter? What all those symbols mean? You don't have to worry about it. You turn this on, you go for continuity, it already knows it. You plug this into power, it already knows. You plug into AC, it automatically switches to AC. You plug it into a battery, automatically switches to DC. You get the instant notification that you've made contact here. You get the light. You've also got a light at the top that you can turn on, which helps in dark areas. And then the NCV, the non-contact voltage detector. This is really useful for identifying quickly what wire you think might be energized. Don't use this to verify the absence of voltage. Use it to verify the presence of voltage. This is not a multimeter. These will get you hurt if you trust them too much. Always verify with a multimeter when using these. This is probably one of the best ones that money can buy, in my opinion. The LVD2, it's a fluke. The lights change, there's no beeping. It's very accurate. And I think it's got a 70 lumen light built into it. I'm going to pick the links down below for all these tools, including the Festa tool pouches. I'm going to start loading these tool pouches with the essential tools. We're going to go one for material, maybe for pipe, maybe for a meter, maybe for an impact, something like that. Hammer could go over here, things like that. This pouch, essential grabbing hand tools that are quickly accessible for trim out, something like that. So let's get this pouch loaded. This is going to be the one that they kind of aimed more for sheetrock, but I'm going to show you how to load it as an electrician or homeowner or just DIY, whatever it is. This is a really nice pouch. I'm about to show you why. We're going to use the prettier tools, of course. So this right here already has really nice retention. Of course, it's Amazon. You know, you can always return this stuff. Amazon's really good about returns. If you wind up having something that you're just not pleased with, hey, just go return it. It's not like you're going to Acme or anything like that. There's not going to be any hassle. By the way, every time I order something from Acme, it seems like they just borrow my money so that they can order stuff for somebody else and then delay my order. Shout out to Acme. Thanks, guys. So we got our Klein Zero. If you don't like your Klein Zero, you can always put them up here. Yeah, they're going to sit right in there pretty nicely. Strippers can go in there. Strippers can fit there. The pouches are a really nice shape to where they're not just completely straight up and down. They also kind of taper out. And it seems like we can fit stuff in here really easily. If you are doing MC, you've got a hook here for your roto split. I thought that was actually a pretty nice touch because you're probably looking at this like, what are you going to use this slot for as an electrician? Where do you put the tape measure? It looks like it goes right there, tight to your body, not hanging off. Something that I actually appreciate. Keeping most of the weight next to your body. It's kind of like having outstretched arms and trying to hold a box versus holding the box closer. The more weight that we can get closer to ourselves, the better off our back, our legs. This area, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you got a high rise going on, you're going up the stairs all day, mandatory to carry your tool pouches, you got pipe. that you're trying to carry while you're trying to bend, whatever you're trying to do, try to keep your tools close to your hip. Avoid doing this. And that's one reason why, even though this is the iconic electrician pouch, I want to get away from putting tools in the front of my pouch, because the more weight that I get out here, the more back strain you're going to get. So this is something that I really appreciate with a lot of the Vitos that are coming out. But the Vitos are like $100. These tool pouches are like $30 to $40 each. This has a little interesting kind of slot right there. There's a bunch of things we can do with this. I'm just going to hang a knife right off the front right here. But I really think that this slot here is more for like a cat's paw, a pry bar, something like that. And you're going to see that trend here with a couple other bags. If you really wanted to, you could even throw a screwdriver there real quick. There's nothing better than being able to find a spot really quick for just about any tool. And this tool pouch can absolutely do that. So you can put a screwdriver there. We can put a screwdriver in this slot. It fully accepts standard slots. You can put your volt claw here. Channel locks can go there. If you don't want to touch your tape measure, which I don't think I do like this touching my tape measure, this can go in the front. It kind of goes off to the side of the tape measure. Almost everybody, unless you're running pipe, this is also acceptable to put your channel locks like this if you're not running pipe. If you are running pipe, this is not acceptable. So on all my videos, I'm never going to show you that an upside down channel lock is a viable tool method. There is nothing quick about grabbing the head of your channel locks and having to flip them around, because you need to just be able to grab the tool you want, quickly adjust it, grab the pipe, right? Turn upside down if you need to, do the double wrenching action. Whatever you got to do, man, the tools got to be accessible and they got to be quick, and you got to be able to slide them in here really quickly. This tool pouch meets all those requirements. How does the hammer ride? Hammers is not something that I really used in my career, right? If you want to know more about hammers, there's a lot of building channels out there. I think it's John Dawson, one of those builders out there. He's always building something. He's been pushing the flex line up a lot. I love the flex stuff. So I've been watching his channel lately, and the dude looks like a pretty solid builder, some pretty high quality. So shout out to that guy. If you want to know how a hammer works for me with this slot. Okay, so this is your electrician pouch. We touched on this earlier. The tape measure slot is in the front here. You're going to get the roto split. You've got the iconic 3 slots in the front. Usually you have your diagonals, your strippers, and your Kleins, all in these 3 slots. And then this pouch here, you might wind up with a bunch of wire nuts in here. You can reach your hand, grab the wire nuts, and if you stack your wire nuts high enough, all the way up here in the bottom of this pouch, this becomes kind of where you can grab in to grab your wire nuts, and then your other tools can sit on top of this. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Except that I'm going to run out of wire nuts. Once you load all your wire nuts up to about this tall, this becomes where you can grab to get what you need. And then your other slots here, they hold things like levels and channel locks on the side. So that's how you would load this. You put your 3 iconic tools in the front, like this. And you can see they kind of fit in every configuration. You got space for your wire nuts. You've got space for your hand to fit in here. You've also got enough space for a multimeter to sit in there. You got a slot here if you wanted to hold your channel locks upside down, like I don't do. Put your NCV there. Whatever you want to do, you got the options with this pouch. We also got some screwdriver slots too. So let's see. Where did that? Yeah, so if we take the iconic screwdriver shape, right? Screwdriver goes right there. One screwdriver goes right there. And if you're old school, man, this is what you did. This is what you know. This is an old school, iconic, full grain leather pouch for like $35 or $40. Please don't quote me on the price. I'm going to put them all down below. But they're not that expensive for the high quality that we're getting. It takes a long time to find this stuff to know what's good before I show it to you guys. This is one that I featured. This is a DeWalt, and you can see how flimsy, the wear and tear on the leather, the terrible roughness on the back. You kind of got this terrible like fold over of the leather. This one's a little bit better up here, but then you just kind of get whatever you get, right? The pouches are nice. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers here. You got some bits storage here. But then when you compare it to this pouch, it gets really interesting because I have not seen one with 3 slots in the front. So this pouch is already pretty amazing. I mean, I don't see leather like this quality for this price. Double stitching, handles here to carry your tools. Linesman can go there. You got all the storage, wire nuts, MC connectors, red devils, pipe fitting stuff. Pliers can go in here too. You can throw a level in there, your couplings, your straps. Up here, if you want to double this up, there's so many things that we can do with this. Speed square can go in there. It just depends on what trade you are. That's how deep that is. That's how deep that one is. That's how deep that pouch is, and that's how deep that is. And this screwdriver is right at 8 inches long. Get your drill bit storage there, which I love. Tape measure slot there. Something about these 3 pouches on the front really just drew me to this bag. Let me know what you guys think about the 3 pouches on the front of this. I think it's really cool. One of the reasons why I decided to bring this to the channel, I looked at this brand. I've seen other leather tool pouches. We've all seen kind of this iconic design. If I was to weigh this versus the DeWalt, this thing weighs what the DeWalt and the other tool bag on that belt weigh together. This is really, really high quality stuff here. All right, so this one's pretty cool. This one's got the hammer. It's a little low profile. We've got our cat's paw right here. You got your hammer. I don't know if you're tying rebar or what you're doing. That goes there. If you're trimming out and you're pulling nails, that can go in there. Full screwdriver slot right here. And you can get a pin or just about anything in this. Even a screwdriver if you had to. But I think this is more suited for like a pin or pencil, carpenter's pencil, something like that. So this one's pretty cool. This is probably one of the nicest pair of suspenders I've ever owned. Okay, we got all loaded up here. We got the spreader strap clipped here. You can see the loops, they go on the actual belt. On the actual belt. This is the back of it. On either side of the hammer slot. You know, it's not a bad looking rig here. Hammer goes there. We've got the electrician one. You know, I'm going to take it back. I actually like this for electricians. My first thought was maybe this was not for electricians, but nope, these guys know what they're doing because you can reach down in here and we can grab whatever we need to grab here. It's a nice feature. Multimeter goes in here. Tape measure, level, Kleins with the suspender setup. Kleins aren't terrible out here. Roto split. Two pairs of channel locks if we wanted to. And a screwdriver. And then in here, we still got all this storage. We got our drill. We can get another level. You know, we kind of got all the essentials in here. I kind of ran out of room to put, or I kind of ran out of things to put in here. You know, there's a lot of space. You can put the tape measure right there. Bit storage right there. We've got another one here. This one's going to take a tape measure. Get your linesmen or your diagonals. Channel locks, knife, pencil, screwdriver. We got room right here if we wanted to. It is a lot of weight with these tools, but you're all day with suspenders here. And this is what you'd wear. You'd wear a light shirt that's going to breathe easy, protect you from the sun. We're in summer apparel. I'm missing a hard hat. There, we're ready for work. I think that's pretty cool right there. They've kind of got the height kind of figured out too. My pin's broken. Radio goes in there. I like it. What do you guys think? Also got another Fessa belt here. Wide. Got the stitching. Double loops. This is a utility knife pouch, top grain leather. Big utility knife slides in there. We've got a big utility knife pouch here. That slides in there. You got pens, you got pencils. Then we've got their EDC carry here. You've got a loop there for a large flashlight. You can get your smaller flashlights in there. You can hang your keys off of this. I'm in and out of my car all day, and I thought that this was something that I really wanted. I wore it for a couple of days. If you're in and out of your car, like me every day, I'm an electrical inspector. So I got out of my car probably more than 60 times a day. In and out, in and out. Not something I really wanted pushing up against me. If you're walking around and you're doing, you know, general contractor things, estimating, whatever you're doing, this is a really nice assistant here for all of your everyday carry items. It's really soft quality leather here that is actually comfortable against your body. And it's got a lot of options for whatever you might want to carry. So also from the same brand there, Fessa. Little branding on the front. And good for them, man. They should brand whatever they can, because when other people see this stuff, they're going to want to know where you got it. So that's the name right there, Fessa.